It's a pleasure to speak to my fellow HR executives and my fellow HR technologists. And this morning, as my title implies, I want to give you a brief and concise, and there's even a clock here, so this must be the Academy Awards, Frank, but thank you to Workforce Media and Workforce Magazine and Human Capital Media for having me participate in this great gathering. So my objective today is to give you a pathway to move from data management to what I call information craftsmanship. We are all in an area of human resources that has tremendous capabilities, that has tremendous breadth and scope within your own organizations. But that's not always been the case. Over the years, our function has been called many things. Let me show you. From Dirty Harry, the Enforcer, 1976, Clint Eastwood, Tyne Daly, the one with Tyne Daly. Listen to what Harry has to say.
You get cute? Blow this nice lady all over you. Let's go. On the floor.
Oh, for God's sakes, Mr. Do like he says.
This is my best sport jacket.
I said get your ass on the floor, Fred Eagle. Move it! Roll him over.
He's clean.
Here's the story. First, we want a car with a police radio. Deliver it right out there in front. We're taking 2 hostages. You don't do exactly what I tell you, we blow their heads off. You got the picture?
Yeah.
Well, what are you waiting for? Run!
What do they want?
I want a car.
What are you going to do?
Give him one.
$14,379.
How can that be?
You want an itemized account? You took out 2 front doors, 1 front window, 12 feet of counter, plus damages to the stock, plus 1 city vehicle totaled. Not to mention 3 hostages in the hospital, all of whom will probably sue the city.
For what?
Excessive use of force. For your information, Callahan, the minority community's just about had it with this kind of police work.
By the minority community, I suppose you're talking about the hoods.
It so happens they are American citizens, too.
And what about the lady with the shotgun stuck in her ear?
I'm not going to debate this with you, Inspector. I've been on the phone to the mayor twice this morning. He went right through the ceiling over this. I expect you and every other man on this force to behave with restraint or turn in his resignation. You're on notice, Callahan. This little Wild West show of yours yesterday is exactly the kind of thing this department's no longer prepared to tolerate. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
That's all, Captain. I've got work to do.
But not in homicide.
What?
You've been transferred to personnel.
To personnel? That's for assholes.
I was in personnel for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's it. You report tomorrow to the oral examining board, 9 o'clock on the dot.
(1976), as stated. You could watch it on any TV show that you find that movie, The Enforcer, and it passed through all the censorship. It passed through the Motion Picture Arts and Sciences Academy's rules for language at the time, and it didn't say very much about the function of HR. But HR has tremendous breadth and scope in an organization. We're involved from onboarding, from recruiting, applicant tracking, time and attendance, performance management, succession planning, health and safety, equal employment opportunity, compliance with all the legislation, the Family Medical Leave Act, the new ACA Act. We're involved with all of that. And with that strong oversight within the function of HR, and I personally have not found a function in any company that I've been involved with that has such a breadth of multiple disciplines within our realm. So you should all be congratulated on being members of the hot place to work in an organization, with the ability to utilize the technology that you now have at your fingertips, as we'll see a little bit today, in terms of bringing the message of HR being worthy of a strategic partnership, a business partner at every level in your organization to the top level of your organization. You know, Mary Barra, the new CEO of General Motors, even though she's had a lot of problems with the recalls, she spent 3 years at HR with General Motors. She was one of the first senior HR people to be elevated to CEO of a Fortune 50 company. But with that responsibility are these types of challenges. Now, this came from SHRM. It is an actual survey that they did of their membership in sequence of over 3,000 SHRM executives, HR executives who answered the survey for SHRM. And you can see that the number one is talent management, leadership development, so many of the things that my colleagues today in these wonderful presentations have talked about. And of course, number 7 is the one dearest to me and dearest to you at this point in terms of transforming HR to a strategic partner. On top of all of this that's keeping us up at night, or that's our challenges with our responsibilities in HR and the need to use technology to help us get through this, are the things we need to do every day in terms of the administration. That stuff's not going away. We still have to deal with benefits enrollment and new hire processing, et cetera, et cetera. But there is a way to minimize that and get away from the administrivia. So we've come from, on the left side, a very long time ago, to be an administrative function, a la personnel, a la good old Clint Eastwood. Where we want to be is an expert strategic partner. And I've highlighted in the yellow some of the issues that we want to deal with, but we need HR technology to accomplish this. We need to do psychological and psychology-oriented onboarding and understanding our workplace, and understanding our workforce, and utilizing them better. We need metrics and dashboards to show the breadth and function of the HR function and how the overall company is performing, as you'll see. What we don't need, and I'm going on record today, we don't need big data yet. You may have been bombarded by articles about big data, and it's all the rage in some of the periodicals that you pick up. But HR, I believe, we're not ready for the real definition of big data working with terabytes, which is the smallest entity that big data works with, in terms of what HR has to work with. I will be very happy, and I hope you will be very happy, if you're able to generate some forecasting and modeling and regression analysis reporting, and showing that as a metric, and showing that metric as a graphical depiction of a trend, whether it's a pie chart, a bar chart, a line chart, or whatever type of chart that's in multicolor that will get the eye of your senior executives. Big data, not yet for HR. It's kind of an aside, but I wanted to say it. We have already a path to follow. Everybody's talked today from that great article in the Times about why we hate work. Well, back in 2005, I don't know if you've seen this, but this is a fantastic article written by Hammonds in Fast Company, August 2005, Why We Hate HR. I think it's valuable reading. I give it out to all the classes that I teach. And basically, the summary is that HR needs to measure the right things, do the right things, say the right things, and strive for value. So there's a roadmap for us, but I'm saying today, this morning, that this roadmap also needs technology to move us from data to information. This particular slide is what I call the triangle to the diamond view of service for HR. We are spending a lot of time on administration. That's that one right over there, maybe 60%. That's the administrivia. Then it goes to 30% for business partnering within the organization, and maybe we've got time for strategy, maybe 10 to 20% in overall, in any size company, mostly mid to large size companies. But what I am suggesting is by using HR technology and using the feature functions of model systems, and you've heard some of their names already this morning, PeopleSoft, Oracle, and there's so many others out there, and there are new ones every day, and it's my job as an HR technology consultant to be on top of that marketplace. But basically, we want to get that administration down to 20% and change that bottom base to a diamond shape, right there. And by lopping off the two sides using technology, software as a service, SaaS, and using the functions within the software that's delivered out of the box from our very capable vendors, ICM, IMS being one of them, to generate the capabilities for employees to use employee self-service, manager self-service, has workflow and best practices built in, has a My portal, has employees doing everything they need to do, so that when you walk through a typical HR department today, there's no phone ringing. It's silent. Hopefully, because the HR folks are involved with strategic policy, strategic building of new programs and new directions, and thinking about such things as onboarding, and thinking about new programs and planning and retention, and all the things that we've heard about already this morning. So the concept is to go from that triangle to get into that diamond by lopping off the two segments and increasing business partnering and policy and planning to maybe 80% instead of what it was, and reducing the administrivia from maybe 60% to maybe 20%. That's the goal. And using technology to do that. In order for this to happen, we have to know who our stakeholders are, what they want, who they are, and what they expect from your function. You meaning HR, payroll, and benefits. And I'm a strong believer that the function of payroll has to report to the function of HR. I don't know if I have dissenters in this room, but it makes sense to me. Because if you think about it, gross to net is occurring because of taxes and benefits. The difference. And that benefits function always reports to HR. So why shouldn't the payroll function and the payroll system and in integrated systems today from most of the vendors, human capital management or HRIS or whatever they're calling themselves, the flavor of the day, these systems should be integrated, or certainly well interfaced, with no human intervention necessary. So we need to know what the C-level executives expect from HR, and we need to anticipate their need for strategic valued information. We do not want data management. We want information craftsmanship. Doesn't that sound better, to be an information craftsperson? Data is, here's an example of a data report. The request comes in. Give me a list of everybody working in department XYZ for our company who's been with the company greater than 20 years, who speaks 2 languages and makes more than $110,000. As I've just said that, it should be appearing on the screen now with a good system. But that data is old and static. It's meaningless in terms of the strategic impact it has on the company, except for the manager that may want that report for some reason. What I want to move you to is to information craftsmanship. So folks, don't throw out those statistics textbooks. Know what a regression analysis is. Know how to do a model and a forecast. Stay away from Excel, except where Excel you can do a regression analysis model. and move towards future estimates, trending, projections, taking turnover for the last 5 years that's in your system, any system, and projecting it to answer the questions or to anticipate the need. For example, if you have the turnover data in your HRIS system or HCMS system, and you have it for the last 5 years, because you do, because you have the data hire and the date of termination and the various reasons why people leave, you can calculate the turnover for the last X number of years. For any group, for any department, for any entity within your organization. But the best thing is to take that and say, well, let's move it forward to 2015, 16, 17, and 18. If we know that the percentage is 5 or 7% in the last 5 years, let's take that 5 or 7% and project what it'll be to our sales force in the next 5 years. So all of a sudden, HR might be generating a simple report on a dashboard or in a metric that says to your senior management, guess what? Here in the East Coast, in our sales department for the region, maybe we're a car salesman or a car manufacturer, our 150 salespeople, based on the turnover percent that's been around for a couple of years, that 150 will be down to 85 in the year 2016 or 17. But yet, strategically, you're aware that your company is planning a new rollout of a new model car, maybe, and you'll need new salespeople. And it takes time to get the salespeople up to date. So all of a sudden, HR can show senior management a trend that says, guess what? We need to today start onboarding and hiring new salespeople to have in the ready to sell this new model car based on the fact that that turnover will not have these salesmen around if we do nothing. A simple report like that will say, oh, it's pretty interesting, HR. We didn't think you could do that. But you can. Yes, you'll still have some administrative stuff to do, but most often you'll have the employee self-service, manager self-service, workflow, best practices built into your systems. You'll be able to use the technology that we heard about this morning. Everything will be mobile. Everything will be on an application on a tablet. There'll be everything web delivered. Everybody will have immediacy to do whatever's necessary to do that HR doesn't need to be called. We don't want this anymore. That's data management. Simple reports, Excel spreadsheets, garbage, 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 garbage. Clint Eastwood would shake your hand. What the C-level executives, and you must know this, my fellow HR people in this room and my fellow HR technologists, we need to get out of our silo of HR. We need to think about the business we're in. We need to answer some 4 key questions. From the customer perspective, how do the customers see us? From the financial perspective, how do we look to our shareholders? From the growth and learning perspective, what do we continue to do to improve and create value? And from our internal business perspective, what are we doing well? We meaning your company. And each of those 4 boxes in the center has a series of goals and measures that are metrics that you can calculate. Without going into detail, you could see some of them, and I'll show you a few more. I've negotiated with Frank because the movie was 4 minutes and 22 seconds to allow me to go a few extra minutes. What are the metrics that we should be looking at? I want to give you the things that we should be looking at. And metrics, they have been around for a long time. Here's Moses with the tablets. Believers and sinners. So there's metrics. They've been around. We need to use them. We need to understand the overall condition. And we, as people in HR, payroll, and benefits, working under the umbrella of the function of HR or people management or whatever you're called in your organization, large or small. We need to know, are we meeting the strategic needs? This is what the C-level executives and the managers and the board of directors and the advisory committees all want to know. Are we meeting our strategic needs? Can we deliver on the corporate strategy and direction? Are we meeting our customer needs? Are we optimizing our service delivery process? And are we contributing to the company's financial well-being? In some cases, the we is HR. In other cases, the we is the company just wondering about how we're doing. And we in HR should know. You as an HR professional should know your company's competitors. If you're asked to name the top 2 competitors of your organization, I would hope that your answer is the same answer that your president would answer. And I think you should know that. You should know who your competitors are. You should know your market strategy. You should know where your company is going. You should know whether your stock is going up or down. You should know if your revenue is increasing from the last couple of years or decreasing. When we look at the metrics that we should be measuring, there are 4 audiences of metrics and 4 levels of metrics. Some we're not going to touch as HR executives, but we should be aware of them. And that's the C-level company performance and strategy and the financial reporting. But these other 3 levels in the bold, we should be looking at HR operations and performance, HR functionality services and programs, and the HR technology service delivery. Here's a few. We don't have time to go through it, but you might have heard of some of these. I'm suggesting that you could look these up on Google, just as I did, and you could even get the calculation. But the calculation then pulls down from data in your system that has to be translated. So let's look at human capital value added. It's the operating revenue, which is calculated by the operating expenses minus the pay and benefits over the full-time equivalents in your company. FTEs. Now, FTEs, you can calculate. It's easy in your HR system. It's those who are full-time active, or whatever definition you give. The others are coming from other systems. You'll be able to get those other data points from other systems. If you have an ERP system, such as SAP, or PeopleSoft, or even Workday, or Oracle, you can get that data from the financial aspects that are all integrated. And if you can't get it from those systems, you can get it from those annual reports and plug them into an Excel spreadsheet that will give you this capability. And then you generate it and you present it graphically as a dashboard and as a metric. Going down one level, you could see we can calculate net income per employee, production output per employee, or dollars of sales per employee. These are all points of data that you can create for any entity within your organization in any geographical region or over any period of time. You just have to get the data and translate it to value-added information because you're modeling and projecting it. You're not generating old static data. And we want to present it on a scorecard or a dashboard. And they should be colorful, self-explanatory, and showing trends. It should bring the business issues to life to your senior executives. And if you're not doing it, you could try a balloon, do a trial balloon, and show them some of the things from magazines, from presentations, and say, wouldn't you like something like this? And I guarantee you, they're going to say, yeah, this would be great. And you could also say, God, okay, that's great. You want this? I need about $100,000 for a new HRIS system. And they'll say, here it is. Because it's possible to use that as a tool to get the release of the funding and the understanding that you as an HR professional have these tools at your fingertip. What do they look like? They could look like this. Simple dashboards, metrics, calculating bar charts, meters, thermometers. The one on the far left, by the way, which is pretty interesting, if you see it there, it's got 2 needles, a blue and a red needle. That shows, at a glance, a company against its cohort companies in a region. Wouldn't it be cool if you could generate this? And how do you get other company data? Simple. You're participating in some surveys from the old Saratoga Institute, or that is now owned by PricewaterhouseCoopers, or you're participating in SHRM, or if you have ADP as a vendor, you're a vendor, they're your vendor, you're their client. You have the capability now through ADP generating metrics based on their 500,000 clients worldwide to show how you compare. So that's really cool stuff that's coming out there by the vendor community. And all of these are dashboards and metrics presented on one page in color because the board of directors has the attention span of a kindergarten kid. They like color, they like charts, they like to see trends. How do we achieve value? By using the feature functions of HR technology that are at your fingertips from all the vendors that are out there today. Delivered over the web, using employee self-service, manager self-service, my portal, endless number of data items, endless number of supporting tables, endless reports, endless ad hoc capability, endless capabilities to drill down on a field and go down into the raw data, endless ability to do this on a phone, smartphone, or a tablet, to generate value for the function of HR. Cycle time reduction, less administrivia, more strategic planning, enhanced spending time on employee engagement. By the way, the millennials expect these systems. They don't want to work for a company that gives them Lotus Notes to fill out or a Lotus Notes-based form to fill out. They want this. You're not going to get anybody to join your company if you don't have a full-blown, very nice onboarding employee or applicant engaging system that gets the employee into your organization. They expect it, and they won't join you if they see that you're behind the times. Here's your to-do list. Leverage HR technology to reduce your administration. Shift responsibilities to the outsourcing companies that do it best. Pay the money to the background exams. Pay the money for the drug testing. Pay the vendors to do your payroll, but keep track of them within the function of HR. Make sure you're working on mission-critical items. And just think out of the box. Think beyond the silo of HR. You're in the hottest place to be in corporate America, I believe. And if you do all of that, no thanks to you, Mr. Clint Eastwood. We will never be considered that term evermore, and we will be making our day, starting today, by attending sessions such as this, and all of us sharing our collective knowledge. Thank you.